What's your people? How you all doing? You're gonna have to bear with me tonight. I'm completely on my own. As you can see, I'm in unfamiliar surroundings. Um, I suppose. Did anyone else have a conundrum with the very, very unfair and unnatural fucking problem with the time again today? What is all that about? Jesus Christ, that's a way of fucking with people, that is, isn't it? Hey, God, man, that feels so weird. How dare they? So what's going on? Is everyone all right? Thumbs up? Yeah? Everyone good? Everyone feeling okay? Little bit, little bit. Um, I feel like we've got to a stage in our journey, a lot of us, where like knowing the latest trend in conspiracy theories or facts, as we like to call them, to me it just feels like it's run out of steam. Like, however much there is an element of importance to understand what's going on within the geopolitical arena and obviously what's going on outside of our front doors. But like, how much of it is actually getting in the way of us, getting in the way of us actually realizing and becoming who we're supposed to be? Because if we're so busy chasing some kind of external authority outside of ourselves, sorry, do you know what? Look, I'm on my own, aren't I? So I've just forgot to spotlight myself. That's better, isn't it? Hey, what was we doing? The thing about knowing this stuff is that, of course, like it has its benefits, right? I'd imagine everyone in this room has come out of the same rabbit holes. There's an element of value to that, but like, how much more do we need to know? Like, is now if we've got to the stage where, to me, it just feels like we could just write, we could underline one part of it, which is it's all a fucking lie, it's all rigged, and then the rest of it doesn't really matter, does it? Because what we're saying is like, okay, yeah, we get it, it's fucked, the whole system is crumbling, but what's the point in me attending to it anymore? What's the point of me focusing it on anymore? When the real journey is about how do we uncover the truth about ourselves. Because if we're stuck in that paradigm of like we're trying to work out what's going on out there, but we never able to shine that light where it matters, then are we not just finding ourselves caught up in the distraction to a point where I think we become stagnated? I think we become immobile. And a lot of the time, it's a bit much, isn't it? It can get to the point where we feel it's just working against us. To the point is like, if we understand that, yeah, like the system's rigged, most of it's scripted, most of it's a theatre. Pretty much all of it's a theatre. All the people we see in the public arena, they're all plants. They're fucking clones and cyborgs and controlled opposition. I mean, how much more of it do we need to know? So once we draw a line under that, then where do we attend? What do we focus on next? Well, it has to be us, doesn't it? It has to be trying to create real empowerment to ourselves. Yeah, like Eddie's just said, it's overwhelming. It is overwhelming because you look around it and you're like, well, what can I do about that? What can I do about any of that? And the thing is what we can do is we can make ourselves the best version possible to be able to deal with that. And so really, like, for me, that's all it is now. And I know that might seem, I think people want the drama. That's what I believe. I feel like if I was raging against the machine still and calling out all of this stuff, I feel through watching the metrics and the data that I'm fed back from social media platforms, the shock, the awe, and the sensationalism, it becomes contagious. And I think people are addicted to it to a certain degree. And I mean, we could say that there's actually within our brains there is a dopamine fix that happens from retrieving all of this new information, and it's almost like little ticks are going off in our mind. I feel something. But when you say to people, look, this is on you now. You have to be accountable. You have to take responsibility for you. And when you take that back, that's when life can actually change. And then this is the most interesting part, right? Is because of whatever that is out there. And I mean, I don't know if anyone here follows me on social media still. Maybe you guys have gravitated away from that, matured away from that, shall I say, evolved away from that. But I'm still there in the trenches because, you know, that's where the work needs to be done sometimes. I've mentioned things recently. I'm saying a lot of the time is that this whole idea of finding someone to blame and labeling someone responsible for one faction of people responsible for the world's problems, to me, is just playing into the hand of the hidden hand. Because I feel that if you were to say, like, right, what is feel like the transmission of whatever that is out there in all of the mainstream arenas and all of the alternative platforms and all of the big players within those alternative platforms, and then what we start to see is that, like, it gets a lot of traction, division. You know, if you want to go out and you want to blame all of the rape gangs in fucking the north of England, all the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs, you get a big audience. People want to hear that. And people also want to hear that it's the Jews. And the thing for me is like I see things as really obvious, right? But apparently Hannah tells me they're not that obvious and I should explain myself a bit more. So when I say something like, to me, like, it's so obvious that if you've got these platforms that they're being invited, these people are being invited to go onto the level of platform of Piers Morgan, right? Onto his show. Now, no one gets onto that show unless they're part of the club. I would have thought that was obvious. That is a very, very controlled arena for whatever they want you to hear, whether that's division, whether that is some kind of anger that they're trying to propel into the mainstream arena. They're using all of these puppets and all of these platforms to do that, to steer the narrative. And the narrative always fundamentally is division. So for me, it's like, well, okay, and I've said this lots of times, right, is that if you take those groups of people out of society, out of our world completely, does the world fix itself? Absolutely not. Because whatever it is out there, and like when we say like there is another presence in our reality on this earth, yeah, it's something that you could like. There, like we've labelled it for years, demonic entities. It's been called Satan. It's now lots of people are talking about it being interdimensional negative beings. Whatever, like however you want to label it and however you want to define it is entirely up to you. But I can just feel that there's something else there, right? That is not us. That is the opposite to what we are. And I think that's infected all of us. I think it would be naive to say that we're not infected. Everyone is, to a certain degree. So once that's found its way into us, then it shows up in our behavior. And of course, like, we can lean on all of the things that have happened to us in our life experience, and we can identify with the stories and the tragedy and the trauma that we've gone through. And sometimes that's how it finds its way in, and that's how it shows up in our lives. However, if we step back from all of that and we stop looking at the individual stories that we've all attached to it, it's just a very, very low vibrational energy that's overtaken us, that's infected us. So once we realize that and we start to go, do you know what? Like, I can feel that. Like, what do I need to do to counteract that? Well, to me, it's just being as positive and living the most positive life you can. And when we talk about positivity, it's not just going down the road going, yay, woohoo, happy, happy, joy, joy. It's more just living within what you could say are very, very high levels of principle, high values, which are about unity, about solidarity. They're about truth. They're about integrity. They're about honesty. They're about respect. They're about having controlled emotions. I said this to my kids the other day, and, like, it's useful to say to everyone because I like to be reminded of it as well, right? Is that anger's good. Anger's a fucking good emotion. And we should all be feeling anger right now. But it has to be channeled and delivered in a controlled way. So, like, if you feel angry, great. Write it down. Tell someone. Say it. If you're angry with someone's behavior, you're angry with someone in a relationship, then you can say it. You can say, I feel fucking angry with you right now. But as soon as that manifests itself into insults or into physical harm, which it very often does, then it's not acceptable, is it? So if we look at the two ways of living side by side, on one side you've got the negative and one side you've got the positive. Now, I'm not trying to say that, like, as soon as this other source leaves, that everything's going to fall into place and we're just going to be living in this euphoric state of joy. We are naturally, like any part of nature, we have cycles, we have peaks and troughs. We're not supposed to be on one plateau all the time. However, many of us have identified so strongly with a negative part of ourselves. And when I talk about negativity, I'm not talking about a character trait, like the way that you're behaving. I'm talking about a core emotion that has got a low vibrational value to it. So we can say, like, doubt. We can say suspicion, threat, fear. And of course, we've spoken about this many times as well, right? There's two types of fear, yeah? There's the hypothetical fear, which is completely a virus, which is just our stories have made up this very, very wonderful cinematic hypothetical probability that something's coming to get us. And oh my God, there's something hiding under my bed. And then there's the actual very realistic primal core fear that I just opened my front door and there's a fucking giant lion standing there and it's about to claw me to bits. So I need to act on that. But we can see one of those fears is very real and very primal, and the other one's very superficial. So using that example, we can kind of feel what I'm saying about this other presence that it has had an incredible amount of influence in our day-to-day lives. So I would say, like, imagine they're all sitting around their boardroom that is probably made out of like some old giant skull, and they're all there drinking their fucking boiling blood broths, and they're all laughing. Do you think they're going to be going like, well, this is great. Let's promote more unity. Let's promote more collective solidarity. Let's promote more positivity. Or do you think they're saying, yes, they're divided? There's no way this whole narrative of it's the Jews has found its way into mainstream society by accident. I would have thought that's obvious. There's no way that is allowed. If let's just take this for example, right? Let's just play with this for a moment. The people who are in control of the world happen to be Jews, yeah? That's what everyone believes. Now, if they controlled everything, which everyone believes, well, not everyone, but many people are now, that's their end game. They've got to the point where they believe that they're enlightened and they've figured it all out and it's the Jews. Yeah, so psyop upon a psyop. That's right, Andy. Now, if they did control everything, like people believe, They wouldn't allow that narrative to come out, would they? They wouldn't. They would just silence it. But instead, they invite guests onto mainstream platforms. They allow this rhetoric to be literally publicized across all the social media platforms by design. Now, I don't know exactly what they're trying to achieve by that. There might be that they're all of a sudden they're going to bring in some incredibly powerful anti-Semitic law again. I don't know. Or, yeah, to cause unrest. There's just stir in the pot. Just more and more division. But I do know, like, we don't really need to try to work it all out. We just have to feel. How does division feel to you? How does it feel to blame? I know good people who are Jewish. So like what? They're fucked as well then. So it doesn't matter. They're very nice people and they've got very good characters and they live their life in a very, very beautiful and positive way. They're Jewish, so fuck them. Fuck them. That is literally like me turning around and just saying, like, I've just picked this group of people over there, Belgians, right? I'm going to pick on today because I happen to be in Belgium right now. So Belgians. The Belgians, they're all to blame. I mean, it's lunacy. And so for some reason, we've accepted it. We've accepted it because it's been wrapped up in all this very, very deep story where all of these layers are now being peeled back and it leads and lands in the same place. And you can easily use exactly what I'm talking about, this metaphor. You can easily push it over to Islam and Muslims. Exactly the same. It works both ways. And fundamentally, it's just division again. And I wonder to myself, like, why can't people see that? They're being pulled onto another right-hander. And I believe, and this is difficult for people to swallow, but I do believe blaming something outside of yourself is a very, very useful technique to not have to take any ownership or accountability for the way the world is. Because we're all complicit. And you might not want to know that, but it's the truth. We're all complicit. Because imagine if my stance was right, yeah, it's the fucking Jews, it's all those, those CEOs, those Zionists of all those big companies. And okay, well, I'm really, really against them, but I'm still using an iPhone. I'm still using Zoom. And I'm not saying I know that these platforms are run by it, but you get what I'm saying, right? We are giving them our time. We're giving them our energy. We're giving them our money. So somewhere along the line, we have to say, well, we're complicit in that. So then how do we get to the point where we just go, right, okay, let's not worry about who it is. Let's not try to label it's that faction or it's that faction. How do we take all of our energy out of that again? Personally, I believe by directing it into ourselves. And that's the thing most people don't want to hear, because that's what it means, that you have to do work then. It doesn't mean you get to come on social media and point fingers. Yeah, that's the reason my life's fucked, because of them over there. Yeah, that's it. All my sadness, all my unhappiness, all my trauma, all my suffering, all my shortcomings. The reason everything in my life's fucked is because of someone else. I mean, how does that even feel when you say that? How does it feel? To me, it makes me feel completely and utterly disempowered. It makes me feel like I haven't got a choice. So I might as well just lay down and be trampled on because I've given up. If that's going to be the way that I express myself in the world, oh, poor me, then all I feel like I'm doing is fueling another layer of victimhood. And true liberation, true freedom is knowing that, is recognizing that. Knowing that if we want our lives to change, then we have to take charge of our lives. And that's not to say that there aren't fucking psychopaths, the lunatics out there running the asylum. I'm aware of that. But how much more of it do I need to know? How much more nuance of it do I need to know? How many more details? How much more time do I have to waste trying to figure that out, trying to get into the deeper layers of it? What is the point when I can use all of that energy to make a better life for me? And if we all start doing that, well, guess what happens? Reality shifts. Because what we're doing is we're taking back control. We're saying, do you know what? I'm bored at that radio station over there that's just going negative, 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 blame, 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 division, division, division. That's all I hear now. And I'm just like, oh, fuck off. You're not having me. And then when we all start to do that, it loses its power. The only reason it still exists is because we're feeding it. That's what people don't understand. I don't know if you lot saw this, right? Because I don't know who's on our Telegram channel. But I said the other day, it was just like, listen, if you still think if you're still blaming the Jews, then you're not going to want to hear this. But like that's that's a cop out, all right? And all you're doing is fueling the fucking same system that you're supposedly against. And I got this guy, and he commented, "You're a Jew sucking. No, you suck cock. Yeah, you suck Jew cock, or something like that." You suck a Jew cock wanker, and you look and you look like shit or something like that, right? Now I think he might have had too many bevies for his lunch, right? And he wasn't quick enough to delete it, so I screen grabbed it. And then I ran a little poll on our Telegram channel, which was his name was Phil, and it was what's Phil's problem? Option A, the Jews. Option B, Muslims. Option 3, Dear Danny. Option 4, repressed homosexuality. And option 5, Phil. Well, what was lovely is that we had almost, I think it was 200 votes, and I think it was 80% nearly, said it was Phil's fucking problem. And I'm telling you this because A, it made me really, really laugh. Right, it was very, very. I found it incredibly comical, but also there's some truth in it, isn't there? Like, how did if we're going to go outside and we're going to say, well, they're to blame, they're to blame, they're to blame. Like, where does it stop? As far as I'm aware, right? If you want to say yeah, well, it's Israel. Well, it's not Israel, is it? If it's Israel, then it's London, it's fucking the Vatican, it's Washington, it's fucking all of the other capitals, all of the other Masonic fucking societies in government. Like, you're telling me that every single one of them's Jewish? Come on. It's fucking naive. Like, they want you to think that. And why do they want you to think that? Because they're lining up another way to A, divide us, B, create some kind of legislation that stops us being able to look and point at these things. So I'm not saying that these cunts should be eventually dragged out of their office. Right? If that's what has to happen, great. I actually don't see a scenario without that happening. I think at some point that's going to have to happen. I just hope that there's people who are calm and measured there, and these people don't get strung up, because I actually don't think that helps either. If there's going to be, seriously holding people to account for them being complicit in what you can say is A, treason across countries, to be like the genocide of humanity, which we know is going on. Like, these are serious charges, right? And I mean, there's lots of people out there they'd want the death penalty for that. But that only makes us as bad as them. We can't premeditated. We cannot stand there premeditated and kill someone. We can't. You can kill someone out of a reaction, out of a primal reaction, absolutely. I know I'm capable of it. But I know I can't sit and plot and then murder someone and that be just. That's not just anymore. If you're in the act of the moment and you see someone you love or anyone innocent, vulnerable, being harmed, and you take the matter into your own hands and that person ends up dead, fucking fair play. But if you're going to sit there and scheme and plot and strategize how you're going to go out and do that, then it only makes you as bad as them. And you've been taken over then. So there is an answer. We just need to put them on a big island, like we did with Australia. but less fucking surf and fucking Barbies, right? They don't deserve that. So listen, for me, and I feel like we're all on the same page now, yeah? I really do. I feel like the people who come to these platforms, who are watching this on repeat, wherever that is, I feel like we're all starting to understand it, yeah? And do you know what? Sometimes, I'll be honest with you, sometimes being the messenger against all of this, sometimes it's fucking, it's dirty work. Because no one wants to hear it, No one wants to hear it. What people want to hear is they want the easy option, and the easy option is just go and blame them over there. Go and blame the Muslims. Go and blame the fucking Jews. Go and blame the blacks. You know what I mean? Like, it could go on forever, couldn't it? But there is no one to blame. It's just a waste of time blaming someone. To blame is to hold someone else responsible for your situation. And of course, the system's rigged. We know that. But does that mean you can't be a success in this world? Of course not. And I don't mean success in a materialistic way. I mean success in the way that you can't carve yourself a beautiful life, a life with meaning and purpose. Of course you can. And that's what we're here for, isn't it? So, yeah, it's rigged. But if we're going to allow that to stop us and go, oh, well, it's rigged, it's rigged. Can't do anything about it. They fucked it. It's their fault. Can't do nothing. I'm just gonna sit here and be, trampled upon. We've got a choice at the end of the day, haven't we? And for me, that's what it's all about now. It's just constantly reiterating that to people all the time. Listen, you are the architect of your own reality. Yeah, you are the fucking hero that you've been waiting for. All right. This is the funny thing, is that you get all these people and they think they're awake and they're going to a Tommy Robinson march. What the fuck? Or there's people out there still believe that, oh, no, don't worry, we can vote our way out of this. There's a nice guy in that, and he's on our side, this guy, because he says things that I agree with. They're not reading a script that's been cunningly fucking written in the Tavistock Institute. It wasn't that. He's actually real. Unfortunately, anyone who's propelled into the mainstream arena, you have to absolutely take with a pinch of salt. Every single one of them. And if they've been persecuted, then it's a pantomime persecution. And that is a way to get you to trust them, because you think, oh, well, like if the papers are saying they're bad, they must be on our side. It's all very, very clever. It's very, very clever, very manipulative and very orchestrated to get us, again, to try to look for an external hero instead of taking responsibility of our own lives. It's very simple, really. Like, we've overcomplicated it. If really we all just do that, if every single one of us just does that and just goes, you know what, I'm not listening to any of that shit anymore. I'm not listening to any of it. I'm just gonna spend my time focusing on me, trying to be around like-hearted people, and trying to find ways how we can apply all of this beautiful, wonderful, fucking divine energy that we've got coursing through our veins. How can we apply that into the material world? Sometimes it means just sitting the fuck down and putting your feet in the earth. Yeah. Sometimes it means going out and actually doing things. But I'm not sure if you're aware, but I wrote a little thing called the Dear Daddy Guide to Freedom. And it was actually something I've been working on for a long time, right? And the idea behind it was to try to put something in some kind of structure that we can all take bits of, and everything cross-pollinates, right? It's all symbiotic. It's all, every part of it is part of its own ecosystem. So it doesn't mean that just this step's here, so we have to disregard that. We can't do that till we hit this step. All these different parts, what they do is invite us to see our reality from a different perspective. Not the perspective of I'm a victim, I can't do anything. It's the Jews and the Muslims and the UN and whoever else you want to blame. It's them, so that's it. I'm fucked, I give up. Instead, it's seeing it from a perspective of going, okay, the world is going through a seriously grave fucking transition. It is incredibly confronting on mental levels, emotional levels, spiritual levels. But if I want, I can use all of that as an invitation to make myself more stronger, to make myself more empowered, more healthy, more informed, more autonomous, more self-sufficient. All of these things, they're all going to, this is what's beautiful about it, right? Is because no one ever grew in the comfort zone, all right? No one. We need discomfort to challenge us, to break us out of this very, very wrapped up, comfortable little world we've been living in, where everything's just happening and we can just put the telly on and we can escape. And listen, I'm not saying that's what people are doing, but that's what we have been doing, yeah? And now we're going, well, okay, look, we don't like the way this world is. So do we blame someone else about it? Or do we say, okay, what can we do? And what we can do, I believe, and I'm going to try and share, listen, you're going to have to bear with me, right? Because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Can you see that? Can people see that? Yeah. Can you see that? Anyone? No. You can see that, the Guide to Freedom, yeah? Right. Okay. So at any given time, if anyone wants to chime in, like when I'm going through this, then you please do. Yeah, but and we can. This is not like you're coming here and I've got your answers. Remember that, right? This is a group, a collective endeavor where all of us are trying to make ourselves the best version we can be. So, like, number one, right, is obvious: individual and collective awareness. What that means to me is that, like I spoke about earlier in the call, is that we've got to a place where we've all got a level of awareness, right? No one on this call is sitting there and he's just woke up right now in real time. You know, we've all been through it and we've all got to the point where we now, as a group, I feel like we are getting closer and closer to what is a good gauge of reality. So the collective awareness is what's going on in our world. Right, we get that, don't we? We can tick that box. Individual awareness is what can I do about it? Is knowing that all of us are now aware enough and conscious enough to make decisions, to make choices that are not only going to benefit us, but they're going to benefit our reality. And that might only happen, right? And this is clear to say, is that it might only happen in our very immediate proximity to begin with. But imagine if we all do it. Imagine, like, that's why we're all spread out the way we are, because we've all got our work to do in the exactly correct place we need to be in. There's no coincidences. I know we would all like to live together on some big fucking sprawling farm, and that maybe will be the end game. But right now, we are exactly where we're supposed to be. So maintaining the awareness out there for the collective, what's going on, right? We need to make sure more people know what's going on. So within that sense, is that it doesn't mean just because you started to realize that you are in charge of your own reality that you should shut up. If something irritates you, or there's an opinion that you're listening to of someone who's still fast to fucking sleep, then if you feel the urge, fucking tell them. I won't listen to that shit. I refuse, you know, and we can drop little bombs, can't we? Like as little breadcrumbs to say to people. And in terms of individual awareness, we're all getting to that point now. We're starting to understand this is it. We're in charge. Right. Number two, positive action on a local community level. Now, there's so many different ways to do that, right? That can be us creating a little network, a little community where we are of like-minded people, or not. Maybe they don't need to be like-minded, just people that are kind. You know, there's people out there who've gone and chose a different route to the medical agenda than us, Does that mean they're not kind? Does that mean they're not compassionate? Of course not. There's some very, very good people out there who got pulled onto that. So if we've got the opportunity to know all this stuff, then is there a way that we can allow that to develop only when we're feeling strong enough and we've got excess power to be able to do something? What does that look like in our own little world? And it might mean that you've just got a little garden that you're growing. You know, it might mean that you're just from hearing that, you've just thinking, do you know what? Maybe there is something I can do. Because there's something we can all do, right? And I don't know what that is, but that's not what this is about, right? It's not me telling you what you need to do. It's me sharing and offering questions so then people start the inquiry. Because it would be a nice thing, wouldn't it, if there's positive action in our local community? What does that look like? It could mean something different to everyone, couldn't it? I remember, I'll give you an example, right? During the pandemic, during the lockdown, me and Hannah and the kids, we lived in where I am right now in a place called Kortrijk in Belgium. Now, this is a very, very, very sort of subservient place. Yeah, it's very subservient psychology here, to the point where it was the first city in the whole of Europe to mandate mask wearing in every public space. So even when as soon as you walked out your front door, you had to put a mask on. It was incredibly, lots and lots of people followed all of the guidelines, and there was a lot of social policing that went on. And we were dropped in the middle of it. Can you imagine what that was like for me? But I don't think I was I was exactly where I was supposed to be. So because I had my ties in London still, there was people I think it was a lady from up north. She created these stickers, and they were really, really impactful stickers that were all sort of messages against the sort of agenda, against the official narrative, that mentioned sort of vaccines, masks, tests, all sorts of stuff. And it was so obvious that it didn't need to be translated. It was clear from these pictures what it was trying to tell you. So I just made it my little fun little game just to put them everywhere, like fucking everywhere. You know, I just went around at night, and sometimes when I was walking the kids in their buggies, because they were little then, and I'd just be having a handful of stickers on me, and I'd be slapping them wherever I could. My favourite one was there was a vaccine one with a big like sort of thing for it. So like, obviously this is an anti-vaccine sticker, and I used to put them in the baby changing tables, like inside. So when new mothers went to change their children, that's what they got met with. You know? So to me, that was a level of positive action on a local community level, right? Now that could mean anything else, but that's just an example of how I wanted to be able to go and do whatever I could to be a voice or whatever, an energy field against the official narrative. Now, number 3 it kind of leads into that as well, is the dismantling of government weapons that are being used against the people. Now, when I wrote that, I didn't want that ever to come across as sort of like something that makes people feel fear. But there is an element of if you're rattled or you're triggered by knowing that there's government weapons out there that are being used against us, then that's a good thing, because we should all understand that. And those weapons, they are designed to create a digital prison, which is getting more and more infrastructure, and it's only going to be used against the people, as it already is. So you might have heard in the UK, there's a group that call themselves the Blade Runners, and they go around and they chop down infrastructure that is being used against people, facial recognition stuff, and more than that. There's actually, some of this stuff is actually technology which has been weaponized, and it's actually very, very, very bad for our health. We know, for example, the telecommunications towers that are everywhere now, we know how detrimental they are to the human body on a cellular level. And of course, there's things that we can do to counteract that. And I'm sure lots of you are informed in those ways yourself, whether it would be, you know, there's things that have got like anti-radiation properties, lots of algae, spirulinas, chlorella, lots of things like that, which is very, very rich in antioxidant. A lot of it has got very, very good qualities when it comes to sort of creating a shield or a detoxification process against anything that's radiation based. So I'm not, again, this is not me telling you to go and put a balaclava on, get yourself a nice Makita mitre saw and go around and help these towers fall down. I'm not saying that. But maybe that's not such a bad thing. If people start to understand the level of what these tech infrastructure that is supposedly innocent and is supposedly to give us a quicker, faster, more convenient way of life, in fact, is being used against us, against our freedoms, against our health, so on and so forth. So maybe at the moment that is something that is going on a fringe of society. You know, I don't think there's many groups that are taking that physical action themselves into their own hands. But it's something to bear in mind for the future, because at some point we are going to realize that a lot of this infrastructure is very, very much part of them being able to create a digital prison that enslaves us. If you've got no cameras and you've got no checkpoints, it's very, very difficult to track and trace people. I mean, of course, like we don't help ourselves because we walk around with a track and trace chip in our fucking pockets all the time anyway. I mean, that's something else on a very personal level we can all start to think about as well. This number 4, it says mass civil disobedience. It shouldn't be mass. It should just be civil disobedience on a local level. That, to me, is just about how is our transmission, right? As how we go out our house in the day. Yeah. Just how do you go out your house in the day? How do you feel? All right. If you feel a lot of how I feel, which is that a lot of this situation we find ourselves in is incredibly unfair, incredibly unjust, and it goes against any kind of natural or universal law that we know. And we can feel it. We don't need a lawyer to tell you that. You don't need a judge to tell you that. You can feel it. So how does that materialize and manifest itself on our local level in our lives, in our close proximity? It just means that you're standing up for yourself and you're encouraging other people to do the same. The thing is that everyone, when something happens, let's say that a lockdown happens, they say you're not allowed out now. And look, a lot of this stuff is becoming even more relevant again because we are seeing that commentary, that rhetoric is starting to find its way back into our mainstream arena again. And it's not dressed up as a virus anymore and a pandemic. It's now being disguised as an energy war. Or it could easily be the climate hoax. Both of them serve the same narrative where they can say, listen, you need to stay at home. You need to stay at home, work from home, don't drive, 15-minute cities. You can't go any further than that because we haven't got any fuel, or your emissions are your carbon footprint's too large. So I don't know when these things are they're gonna press the button again. I don't think anyone really does. I think anyone who's giving you a prediction or a prospectus, I think most of those people are either controlled and they're reading from a script, or people have just got so much of their own buried angst and anxiety, and they can't sort of allow that they don't take responsibility for that to dissolve in their own way. So it comes out in this, oh my God, we're fucked. Oh my God, there's going to be tanks on the street. And to me, it's just, it's feeding the beast again, because if you don't know that's going to happen, then let's stay in the present, right? Right now in the present, let's stay here, because all of this stuff we know is being considered further down the road. But currently it's hypothetical. So we have to maintain that, right? Maintain that understanding that it's hypothetical. But once these things do materialize, do start to manifest in our everyday lives, then it's up to us to take a stand that can be an example to other people. Because that's all it takes, right? It just takes one person to go, do you know what? Fuck it, mate. I don't give a fuck if I spend the night in the cell. There's something bigger going on here. I can't go along with this, you know? And again, going back to what we spoke about earlier, is that how does that come out of you? Well, how do you channel that? How do you express that? If it's like, fuck, then you're going to get nicked, and then you're not doing anyone any favors. And they're able to do what they want with you then, because you've lost control. So we've got to deliver our frustrations, our fucking righteous anger. We've got to deliver that in a controlled way, which is able to articulate and assert why this is unjust. And we all know it, right? We don't really need, you don't need someone to put that into writing for you. You can express it in your own unique, individual, beautiful fucking way. You just got to make sure it's controlled. That you're not being overrun by aggression or emotion. You're just able to say, like, I mean, I always find, and I've said this lots of times to people, is one of the great ways to do it is through questions. One of the easiest things to say is, do you think this is fair? And people struggle with that, because then we're getting into a debate, like into a conversation, and through dialogue, people are humanized. They're not humanized if you attack them. If we start throwing petrol bombs at each other, then I think we're leading it down a very, very dangerous road. Number 5 is mass civil disobedience, right? And that is these things might seem like they're far away, yeah, but we're a few days away from I'm not saying the shortages are coming right now, but I mean, if all of a sudden there was no food, there was no fuel, it's only going to be a few days until there's an uprising. How that uprising is dealt with, I don't know. I'm not Nostradamus. I'm not Mystic Meg. She was a fraud anyway, wasn't she? But I do know that whenever the other side, whenever that starts to implement more draconian measures, then it triggers people out of their comfort zone. And that's when we start to see things happen. And that's why I've been saying from the beginning, right? All of this is positive. And I know it's fucking hard to get your head around, but it is. Because most of the things that we're seeing have been happening since the beginning of civilized society, as we know it, as history tells us. As long as I've been alive, all these things have been happening, like medicine being manipulated, false vaccinations, a lying, corrupt media, lying, corrupt, paedophile politicians, secret societies and Masonic running the world, fake science, a rigged financial system. That's been going on forever, right? But now we're talking about it. So I think that when we start to see civil disobedience on a national level, let's just fucking hope it's civil. But I truly believe a lot of us, the ones that are able to maintain a level of calmness and be measured during all this, because the thing with me is, right, I like to think that I come across quite calm, right? Like I feel in a lot of my time, sometimes I'm very passionate, but I feel like a lot of the time I come across measured, or at least I intend to. That I'm trying to make sure that I'm grounded when I deliver anything and explain anything and I tell anyone anything or I speak whenever I'm up against it in a situation. I always like to feel I try to maintain a calmness about me. And then I feel like I can get my point across, you know. But inside, oh mate, I'm raging. I'm fucking roaring. I just know that by shouting out a lot of these points, it doesn't help. So once we've achieved mass civil disobedience on a national level, for me, the appropriation of governmental resources would be the next thing. And that's the exciting bit, because that means we can go and take all the things back that are being used against us and we can reapply them into positive parts of society. Again, I don't know what that looks like. You know, I've got no idea what that looks like. But I know eventually that's what's going to happen. As these agencies start to crumble, as a lot of these people are held accountable for what they've done to our world, what they've done to people, then the natural evolution of that would be that these agencies collapse and then someone has to take charge of them. And I just hope it's you and me. Because I think if there's people get into positions of power or into positions of put up on a pedestal and people listen to them, if they've not done their own work, then there's going to be a lot of anger, a lot of rage. And if that's not controlled properly, then we're just going to see a repeated cycle of what we're seeing now. People get drunk on power and they believe that they've got the answers for everyone. Lawful justice hearings and sentencing for those who are working against the interests of the people. I would love to see this happen in a common law setting. One of the things that's always bugged me about the judicial systems worldwide is that who are they made up of? You know, who are political parties made up of? It's always the same carbon copy people who have gone through a very, very elite education, who have gone through a way of life that is not a true representation of the balanced demographic of our world. And so I hope when these new judicial systems are spawned out of the rubble of the old ones, I truly hope that is a very balanced demographic of all of us. And those who have worked against us for all these years, they're held to account and then sentenced and sent to that island. And I actually think as well, what could be good on a commercial venture is that we can actually do some kind of Big Brother thing where we can watch what's going on the island. I mean, I would watch that. You know, I would watch them all get all just battering each other, and it's like hell on earth, right? But that's what they deserve. That's what they deserve. Because that's karma. Even though I don't believe in karma completely anymore, but to a certain degree, it's like it's just desserts, isn't it? You get what you receive. Sorry, you receive what you've put out there. So the dismantling and centric control and the re-establishment of local governance, right? This to me is probably the most important of this entire list. Simply because one of the issues we've found in our world is that whenever there's a centric control, everything falls to pieces. Because if that centric control is compromised and it's corrupt, then everything that funnels out of that is also sabotaged. So if we put that back to imagine it was just and I know this is at the moment, it seems like a fairy tale, right? But imagine if it was just our local community answered for itself. So instead of paying taxes to the Houses of Parliament, for example, right, to the tax office that goes and is financing their what they believe this economic model that then they decide how that finds its way out into our world, and we don't have any control over that. It's very, very blurry, incredibly blurry, probably by design. So no one's accountable, and no one really knows where that money's going, and no one can account for it because it's just all over the place. On a very local level, how would that look if we just said, well, we all live in this road, so what needs to be done for this road? We need to maintain all of these things. Well, let's pay into this pot, and we can do that ourselves. Now, of course, look, I don't know how that works, right? I'm not pretending to know how that works, but I know that to me seems much more logical. It seems much more fair to be able to do that where we can actually see it and we can actually be a part of those conversations. And it's not just people in the shadows making decisions that affect our lives. It's actually us, and we can have a voice in that situation. And then when you look at sort of like the police, for example, is that I've always said this, right? Is that anyone who wants to be a police officer should never be allowed to be a police officer. Anyone who wants to be a politician should never be allowed to be a politician. What it should be is some setup where there's a few years, you just all get like jury service, you all just get pulled. People are like, right, you need to be a copper now. If you're able enough to do so, you need to be a police officer now for a year. And then you're going to be in this position in your local government, in your local authority, you're going to be in this position for a year. And then we switch and we change. So no one's got their feet under the desk. No one is earning money from the public pot, because all of it is so rigged now. It's got to the point where it's become so dirty. I don't think anyone knows what's going on anymore. So by re-establishing local governance, we've got the option to be able to be a part of those discussions, and so far we haven't. Written constitution protecting the people and their God-given rights. A written constitution is something we've desperately need. One of the most beautiful Bill of Rights in the world is the American Constitution. It's actually a very well written document. I can't vouch for the people who wrote it, but when I read it, a lot of it resonates with me. If we had that, where our God-given inalienable rights are in writing, that can never ever be sabotaged by man, and everyone has to uphold them fundamentally before anything else, then I think we've always got something to lean back on. And people can always be held account based on a body of writing that we've all pre-agreed to. That's lacking. Look at I can only speak for England or the UK. I was going to say the United Kingdom, but it doesn't feel united, does it? The divided kingdom. The divided kingdom's judicial system is so rigged and so esoteric. It is designed so people never ever understand anything about it. So then it can be used and manipulated against people, which it does perfectly. They've even got their own language, legalese, which only a very, very small few of them understand. You know, by not having a written constitution that we've all got upheld, they can just say, well, we're doing this and this, we're just going to bring out this act now, this statute or this piece of legislation. And no one knows what that is. I mean, I think the closest thing we had to it in the UK was the Magna Carta. And that was, that's going back to a point where it makes sense, that idea of common law. However, we need something more relative to this world that we're living in now, right? And I think it would be a beautiful thing to have that, to all know that we've all got something that we all agree on, that just it resonates with that core part of us, that part of us that is fair and is just. And then last but not least is obviously the favourite part of everyone, a worldwide celebration of the light that connects us all. Now, you might think that he's like, what's he fucking talking about? As if that's going to happen in my lifetime. Well, I tell you what, right? We're closer to it than we ever knew. You know, and what we're seeing materialise in the world now with this massive amplification of division and chaos, and a lot of the stuff that we could say is quite a negative behaviour of people. Like that's because it's all getting pulled. All that ugly stuff is getting pulled out of us, and it's getting pulled to the surface. And I believe we are truly transmuting that in this age. I really, really believe that wholeheartedly. So I truly believe in my lifetime, we're going to get that worldwide celebration of the light that connects us all. Because that light isn't a label. It's not an identity. It just is. It's just the part of us that connects with each other. And we've all got it in us, but it's been sabotaged and suppressed and weaponized. So we all turn against each other, and we all believe through religion, through political party, even down to football team, that we've chose a better way than the other people. We're better than them. And I think that's coming to an end. I think it's becoming redundant. And of course, we're going to have to see a bit more ugly stuff first. But I think we should all dig our heels in and feel as optimistic as we possibly can about the current situation we're seeing play out in our world. Because we want change. We want positive change on our earth. But there has to be a transmutation process for that to happen. And that means all of the negative stuff has got to come out. And it is. In you, in me, in the world. So there's my little guide to freedom. All right. The aim of it is that you do what you want with it and apply it how you want to apply it. Because there's just going back into sort of like, what can we do about it? Well, there's loads of things that we can do about it, can't we? The world, you know, we can take back our power in loads of different ways. We can take back our attention in loads of different ways. We can take back our focus in loads of different ways. You have to decide where you're spending your energy, where you're spending your focus, where's your attention going. All right, it's all energy. It's all rich, beautiful, divine energy. Can that be reappropriated somewhere else more positive? Is it being misappropriated at the moment by us? And another thing is as well is our money. Where are we spending our money? Are we still feeding the beast? Is there a way that perhaps where we spend our money, we can say, do you know what, I'm going to try, even though it might take me a bit more time, it might be a little bit more difficult not to use Amazon, but I'm going to try, because trust me, it's fucking really difficult sometimes to buy something that's not on Amazon. You even find that companies that you go and speak to try to get their product and they send you back to Amazon. They don't even want to sell it to you directly. So there's loads of different ways we can do this together. Yeah, and we can do that in our own way as well. And I believe the ripple effect that has energetically. Can you lot still see me? I'm quite dark, aren't I? I'm going to turn the light on. I don't know if this is going to help. Oh, no. Is that better? Yeah? Oh, look, there's a little picture of my little Luli over there. See him? yeah, how we apply that to our lives is up to us, isn't it? We've got our own signature, we've got our own way of doing things. And I feel like we can help each other along the way to see if there's something we might be able to share, what experiences we've had and how we found certain elements of going out into the world and trying to change it in the way we want to. So look, I've rambled on for such a long time now. My throat's dry. And does anyone want to come up and offer something, talk about one part of that, or summarize it, or whatever? Like something maybe you've experienced or you think that could work, or something that might help people. Feel free to put your hand up. If you don't know how to put your hand up, there's a little button which says raise hand. Heil Hitler! No, not like that. All right. It's not funny, you lot. It's not the Jews. If you want to put your hand up, I should stop doing that now. Someone's going to take. Andy, can't you put your hand up, Andy? Do you not know where the button is? Do you want to come up, Andy? Is that what you want? Do you want me to bring you up to the stage? Yeah. Okay. Voila. You need to unmute yourself, mate. There you go.
All right. You know, I'm quite new to Zoom and things like that. I used to avoid it when I worked at the school like the plague.
Yeah.
So, anyway, let's. What I thought of your sort of proposal in general is very, very good. It's very simple, which is the way it should be. But there are a lot of things going on that you may not see. I've seen a lot of things. Ken Wheeler, he's doing work in America. This guy knows his law way better than me. Like, my knowledge is minuscule, but it's enough to keep the authorities off me back. Mm. But this guy, it's Freedom Absolute is his website.
Freedom Absolute.
And, you know, if people want to watch him, he goes on, he can go on for a few hours, but he's absolutely on the ball with natural law. And everything in life, basically what's happening in life, he's very good. So there is these organisations out there like that, but he's far the best I've seen so far.
That's a good point.
Natural law.
It's a really good point because I think it's next week. I'm not sure if it's next week. You'll find out. It'll be in a newsletter. But we've been working with a guy called Alexander George Middleditch. It's a bit of a mouthful, that, isn't it? And we should just call him Alex from now on, shall we?
Yeah.
Alex. And he's one of the most informed people out there for status correction.
Yes. And if people use natural law correctly, which is status correction, which I've done, nobody can touch you as long as you do no loss, injury, or harm. It's that simple. That's the law of creation, basically. Yeah, and
I think probably either next week or the week after, we're going to start introducing people to Alex's sovereignty masterclass.
Oh yeah, you know, absolutely. If people need to do these things, because you actually do find yourself by doing these masterclasses. You know, it is unbelievable. I done it on my own through COVID. And I started in 2021, had all my affidavits ready to go. By 2022, sent them off all through their systems, all through their postal systems, which you find is above. It's all in equity. And all these things that he'll talk about, it guides you and it makes you understand the processes. It's really good. And you do need to know the processes to become sort of like sovereign in yourself.
The way he explained it to me was like, you're literally finding a way to be able to use all of their law and all of the stuff that they've manipulated. You're using it against them.
Yeah, because the pyramid's inverted, you see, you're just reinverting it back the way it was. They will not just prove you are a man or woman. They can't. It's impossible. Right? Biologically, spiritually, it's impossible, and they know that.
Yeah.
So these people in these powers are aware of people like us who wrote them. They know, and there's a lot of people been doing it over the last 5 years. So, you know, the more people that do this, the more empowered the whole community, you know, and then you outreach. It's such a good thing for people.
I think what's brilliant as well is that through going through the process, like you're recapturing your empowerment just in the process as well, right? Forget the outcome. Like you're just getting stronger because you realise you're something they can't touch. You know, you're a living, breathing entity.
Well, it's biblical. It's actually what's in the documents is biblical. It comes from biblical context into law, which law that's their handbook, and this is how it all works, and people don't realize that. You just go back to the source and it's all there. They can't rebut anything you say, and that's your contract with them. They cannot touch you or anything. I've wrote a Hungarian guy down the road who tried to trespass on me. I had the coppers. I went straight down, wrote them one letter, asked them to rebut it, give them 14 days, and they've never been back. And I've had lots of people back. They won't come back because you put the liability on the man, not on his acting, because they're all acting in every position. And when they're personally liable, they're literally, right, see you later. This is the power men and women have got. And I've tried to get through it. Terminology, what you say, I never say person. It's legalese. Look up legalese words, get a dictionary. And well, why am I saying this? I never used to say it when I was a kid. How, father? You're not going to clip us for hitting that burn, are you? You know, we used to talk, but it's all been constructed through the years, through school and whatnot. And people start saying these words, and you're contracting with them. That's all it is. Life's one big contract. That's all it is. It's so easy to understand.
Yeah, I mean it's important. I'm looking forward to getting into it myself a little bit as well, you know. And the idea is, people as well, right? Is that once we've got, like, Alex has already prepared a video that we can watch together. And once we watch that video, is sort of like his sort of loose introduction. Once we've done that, then like people who are interested and want to take it on, we can all do his workshop, the master sovereignty masterclass. We can all do it at the same time, and then we can use this space to sporadically and intermittently come back and help each other. So that there's parts that we're sort of like struggling with, or parts that maybe someone else finds a little bit easier to explain. Then we can use this space to lean on that. So we're all doing it together, right? And I don't mean that it's going to all just become just a sovereignty masterclass, because there's so many more other modalities out there, whether it's healing, whatever it is, lots of other things that we want to touch on as well. But it's a really, really good foundation for a lot of us to have.
So I'd say it doesn't happen overnight. It does take months.
Listen, I'm just going to be very aware of the time, right? We've only got 10 minutes left here. So if anyone else has got anything they would like to share or to say, then now's your time to say it. If not, then is there anything else you would like to say, Andy? Has anyone else got any questions, or anyone want to say anything before?
No, everything you've done so far seems really, you know, it's on a level within us. It's really good, and I think that's so positive.
Thank you, Andy.
For people who want to do something, you know, you can just pick one off at a time and work on that, and that's the way I look at things.
Yeah. Ed, do you want to pop up quickly then?
Yeah, I'll jump in quickly. Thanks, mate. I'll try not to be too quick. Yeah, so you were talking about freedom And for me, it, like at a personal level, freedom is about being free of fear, like the things that kind of scare you. So my kind of personal thing is I've sort of, and I'm sure other people are the same, but actually really care about other people, what they think about me, you know, that sort of reputation type thing. And even though I'm quite a confident person and a brave person, I still don't want conflict in my life all the time. And I've experienced being called weird and strange and odd and crazy and living in a different world and sensitive and emotional and too kind and all this shit all my life. And I've started to realize, well, actually, all those weapons that people have thrown at me, like all this shit, like all the negativity, they're my strengths. Like they're
Yeah, I was just going to say, it sounds like you're being complimented.
yeah, they're my strengths, but actually made to feel like yeah, an outsider for feeling like that. So you go a bit quieter, or you bite your tongue a bit more, and then you find people like you, Danny, and you sort of, oh, thank fuck, I'm not crazy. Like there's someone talking sense, and thank God, like I can stand behind him.
I am completely crazy though.
No, you are. We all are. Fucking up to live in this fucking world. We all crazy, but you know, stand behind you and like, thank God. Like say, like no, everyone around in my immediate reality is you know, they think I'm crazy, and then you find you and your community, and it's like, right, thank fuck, I'm not crazy, but. Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot recently because I've been thinking, oh, look, you know, Danny's doing it and it's fine, and people are speaking the truth and it's coming out. But it's like, how much more before you realise, no, it's not enough. It's not enough just to stand behind Danny. Like, if we're all really honest, like, how much have you shared Danny's content? Like, I watched all of it, fucking love it, really bought into it, but I've shared it with like-minded people. But how much have I shared it with people who, like, if we're really honest,
A good point, Ed, because you think that what that is sort of like it's that social conformity again, isn't it? It's that
it is, yeah, because you see
if I talk to people like face to face, and what they're saying to me, like they completely agree with everything. Like nothing I'm saying is like out there. They were completely.
How can it be if you say, do you want your kids to end up like, and they're like, no, of course I don't want that. Do you think that's bad if there's a cure for cancer and they haven't let it out and actually all your loved ones are dying and you could have saved them? Is that bad? And they're like, yeah, of course it is. This is the stuff that you're saying and have been saying for years and years and years and years, and no one's doing fuck all about it. So, like, I was ready, like I said, to sort of storm the parliament and stick her in, and you know, but that's not what's going to help. People are going to wake up because this stuff is coming out. People are, and they're going to be. It's going to blow their fragile little minds, like it's blown my fragile little mind for the last 48 years, trying to get my head around the fact that the world is not a nice place. And people are being mean to each other, and they're getting meaner and meaner. And what I'm trying to say is, in a really gobbledy sort of way, is that for me, like because I've had stripped back lots of stuff, all the comforty stuff, you know, like everything, to actually like the alcohol, smoke weed every day. You know, I'm stripping all of this back. I've done the fast, done the thing. Then you get the answers, because they're the things that keep you safe. You get the answers, so you find out, okay, me personally, I'm scared of speaking up because I'm scared of what actually people are going to say, but it's my truth.
You know what I'm going to say?
Danny will do it for me. Danny will do it for me. Danny will do it for me. No. Do
you know what I'm going to say?
Got to do it.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
Go for it.
It's all about self-love again. Because if you truly are able to feel a very, very strong sense of love for yourself, then that's when you don't give a fuck.
But the thing that happens though, because I've always admired you, I'm like, how's Danny done this? Like, you know, uprooted his family, gone and lived like on the land, like he's living the dream. Like and this is what I was going back to about. Because I'd always said to my kids, be kind. You just got to be kind. You got to be kind. You got to be kind. That was my mantra. Be kind, be kind, be kind. you've got to be brave as well. Like, there's no fucking good being kind. You've put your head above the parapet, like you've said so many times. And for me, the reason why I can't do that is because, oh shit, I've got a nice house, I've got a car, and what if I lose all that stuff? Like, oh my god! I've done really well in my career. Like, I'm out of work now. I have been for about 4 months. I could pick up the phone and get income, but it makes me feel sick thinking about going back into that corporate world. So what am I going to do about it? Like, am I just going to, like, you've got to build a world where I want my kids to work with me and these things. And the only way you do that is you have to be prepared to risk it all. And what's the thing that scares me? Well, for me, it's my reputation, because I've worked my arse off to, like, build a really successful career, and, you know, and I hate people criticizing me. So what, you know, but that's what we need to lean into. So I would encourage everyone on this call that be a bit braver. Maybe I don't mean to be patronising, because maybe you are all doing this, but if you haven't shared any of Danny's content with people who need to hear it, not people who just go, yeah, I know that, yeah. Because I think there is something, I put it in the text about predictive programming. They do it to fucking us in the movies and all this shit. This is happening. So we need to be doing it for everyone else. Keep telling them that, yeah, you know there's a cure for cancer. You know oil's abundant. You know they're fucking spraying us every day. You know that vaccines are giving your kids autism and ADHD and all this sort of, he's telling me to shut up. Shut up. Sorry. But yeah, so my thing is, be kind, be brave. I think it's really that simple. And you have to strip back to find out the things that you're really scared of, losing everything. I've got, like I say, I found out I'm really scared of losing my house, losing the things that I'd given for my kids. But do you know what? If that means my kids have to come and live in a camper van with me, if that's the worst thing that could happen, bring it on. We'll have a great time.
Of course.
Where I've got to. So you've got to.
I would say, like, you're right. I absolutely agree with you. Like, it is a time. Those two things are perfect. It's a really nice balance, to be kind and to be brave. You know, they're two things that we could really, really use right now. But also, what I would say as well is that don't be too hard on yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're already everything you're doing. Like, you're a good man. You've got a good fucking moral compass. And the thing is that like you're in that place, and like, yes, it's corporate stuff, but humanity.
Mate, but it's horrible though, because, like,
I know, I understand that, but we're in. What I'm trying to say is that we're in, like, all of us collectively, we're in, like, a really, really weird, like, fucking transition at the moment. You know, we've got one foot in and one foot out. And, like, I don't think like, if we have to bounce back to one foot because that's what we know and that's how we need to earn money at the moment, then so be it. Maybe we can reapply that money into a way that is more befitting the future we want to see. I don't think there's, like, sort of like a clear cut answer right now. I think it's just a case of sort of like we're doing a little bit of a dance with it, just trying to work out.
That's life, isn't it? That's life. Yeah. It's doing a bit of you have to wear a little mask, do a little dance, and there'll be little things but I think as long as there's a goal and a purpose and a vision, then it makes sense.
What's your intention? That's it, isn't it? Like, all of us, everyone on this call, the intention is just to see a world that is fair and equal and kind and compassionate. Yeah. But then the next thing is like, if that's the intention, what the fuck are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
You know, how do we bring that about? Because, like, you know, like, we could, like, again, if any of us are looking for someone else to do it for us, it's not going to happen like that. We have to be the fucking catalyst in our own little world.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
But, mate, Ed, I'm glad, because that's bang on, mate. Bang on. Braveness and kindness is what Eddie's saying, and they're two things that we can be using, like, all of us in every little part of our lives. You know, all the time. I don't think there's anything we have to. We like any of those two things can be applied in such lovely ways, can't they? Our kindness is great. What a wonderful thing to put out into the world. But also, as well, is like, yeah, I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes if I put something out there, yeah, and I think, wow, that's something really people would need to hit, like, here now. This is like something very, very poignant message. and I just see that the numbers of how it goes out into the world, and obviously I'm talking about social media because that's the tool I've got available to me at the moment. And I see that I can read the data on that post, and then I do a post which to me is just like taking the piss and it's a laugh, and the data on that post is always much more engaged because it's more digestible for people, isn't it? You know, it's a lot more digestible. And I think what we want to try to do is, like Eddie said, is that we want to be a little bit brave now. You know, we want to push ourselves a little bit more out of the comfort zones. And then I feel like the wonderful relationship with that is the more we push ourselves. And I don't mean in a sense that we're doing it detrimentally. It's all about a nice balance. But as we start to push ourselves out of that comfort zone, by default, what we get back from that is more empowerment. You know. And if you do have a tough time and you reach out, you share a point of view with people who are still very much, you know, in under the illusion, and it's very, very difficult for you, then you've got this place, haven't you? You can come and you can share it. And you can say, "Fucking hell, mate! I was in the baker's the other day and someone was talking about we should all wear masks again." And I said, well, actually, those masks, they're actually paradoxical because for a respiratory disease, you don't really want to cover your mouth from breathing, actually. I thought maybe that's like... And it all kicked off in the bakers. Next thing I know, I'm hitting people over the head with fucking French sticks. That's the kind of stuff we want to hear on MYGA. You know? I mean, I'm jesting, but like there is an element of truth to that. If you're going out and you're finding like real world struggles and challenges with stuff, then this is a great place to share that because we can all use that information. We can all find out how people experienced it, what someone used, what did they do, how did they feel, and then maybe there's something we're going to learn or something we can impart a little bit of wisdom on or a bit of experience that helps that person. You know, that's the whole point of community, isn't it? That's the point of this MYGA network. All right, guys. I feel like I've been talking for about 15 years. All right. So I'm going to go and I've been up since 4 o'clock in this morning as well. So I'm feeling absolutely fucking tripping right now, to be honest. So thank you all for coming along. For anyone who missed it, I think it was Annie. I saw it in the chat briefly in the corner of my eye and in the periphery. Very sorry. We should definitely be explaining to people that there's a time zone difference. Absolutely. You know, that is on us. And I'll take responsibility for that because I know that time zone shit is fucked, mate. It's really, really fucking annoying and irritating. And I should express that. So, but look, you can always watch it on YouTube. It will be coming out probably in the next few days. We'll probably give a little notification when it's out on Telegram or something, just so everyone knows. But thank you all for coming along. It's really, really. I feel like we're doing what we're doing is we're giving this space the energy it needs now. You know, that's what we're doing. All right, and that's about positive, practical action and stuff we can apply to the real world, not just stuff that is just ideologies or it's someone else's opinion. You know, we're here together and we're discovering and exploring stuff that is going to be very, very important and very useful for us in our own little worlds moving forward. So I'll see you next week, and I'll be back in a little bit more in my little box. I'm all over the place today, and this is not really working for me. If you saw my setup here. Anyway, guys, ladies, gentlemen, have a lovely rest of your evening, and I'll catch up with you next week. Much love to you all.